Greetings, scholars. I know I've promised everyone that I was going to make lasagna this semester, and now that I'm stuck at home, I have time to make my tax day lasagna. My daughter Hannah is going to help me, and as most of you know, I have a fairly large family, so when we make a family-size lasagna, this is the pan we use for family-size lasagna. We should have at least, what, 4 layers? We should have at least 4 layers of lasagna, maybe 5 if we work it right. Now, so this is our pan, and so we're going to get started. Now, I've got all the ingredients here. I'm going to lay those all out for you and let you see what we're doing, and then we'll get started on probably the most labor-intensive part of it. Now, in order to cook the meat for this lasagna, I'm going to have to pretty much fill up this pot. Because like I said, big family, big lasagna, lots of meat sauce. Plus, we're not going to boil the lasagna noodles. So you're going to want the sauce very saucy, very liquidy, so that while it's slow baking, the lasagna noodles are going to be able to absorb the moisture from this, which actually helps them to absorb some of the flavors. Now, let me show you the meat that we're going to be using. Whenever I cook a lasagna, I will use even parts of hamburger and Italian sausage. So what I've got here is 3 pounds of Italian sausage that we're going to cook. And I've got here just a little bit over 3 pounds of ground chuck. Ground chuck is 80-20, which means it's got just enough fat in it that when it cooks, we can put the spices into the meat, and then the flavors of the spices will be distributed by the fats in the meat before we start adding the tomato sauce. Now, what we need to talk about now are the spices. What are we going to cook with? So Hannah, what's the first 2 spices you use whenever you're cooking any kind of beef?
Pepper and salt.
So you got to have salt and pepper, okay? Another spice that you always use for cooking when you're preparing beef is garlic. You can't go wrong with garlic. Plus, it keeps vampires away. It keeps vampires away.
Yeah,
so what other thing do you always use when you're cooking beef?
Onion powder.
We always use onion powder. Onion powder, and so basically when you're cooking any kind of beef, anything, salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder are fantastic. Now, another herb that's extremely important when you're making Italian dishes.
Basil.
We need basil. What's that one? This is also basil. Lots of basil. We like the basil. Now, save that one. We also add a little bit of oregano. So we're going to put some oregano in. And we also add fennel seeds. Fennel seeds are, well, actually, most of the Italian sausage already has fennel in it. Fennel has a very unique taste. By itself, it almost tastes like licorice. It almost tastes like licorice, but it adds a distinctly Italian sausage kind of flavor. Plus, since we're using sausage, we're going to use 2 other spices to heighten the flavor of the sausage, which is what?
Sage.
We're going to use sage, which normally you think of as a poultry, but this is sage is also used a lot in sausage, and we're going to use thyme. Thyme and sage sort of balance each other out and give sort of earthy flavor to the sausage. Now, the last 2 ingredients that go into the meat sauce are the tomato paste, the tomato sauce. These are Hunt's. I got them because they were on sale. I'm trying to do this on a budget. It doesn't matter what kind. It's not a commercial for Hunt's. But it's we're using the garlic and herb. You can use any kind of tomato sauce. Really, the only things in these are basically the seasoning and the tomato sauce. We're going to wind up using 6 cans of the tomato, about 1 can per pound of meat. So if you're not going to cook a 6-pound lasagna, you're going to use, if you're going to do like a 2-pound, you would use 1 pound of ground beef, 1 pound of Italian sausage, and then 2 cans of of the tomato sauce to put in there. So this is everything that goes into making of the sauce. Now we're going to talk about the cheeses. The cheeses that we're going to put in our lasagna, which makes my lasagna only accessible during tax time, is well, we've got in essence 6 different cheeses. 6 different cheeses. This is, I get it from Food City. It's a grated Parmesan, Romano, and Asiago. These are hard cheeses that you have to grate, and so, but it actually has 3 very distinct flavors. And the Romano and Asiago, they have kind of a pretty good pungent flavor to them, which makes it good. So that means this is our first 3 cheeses are contained in these 2 jars. We also have a third one just in case we use that one up. The second, and the one most people think of when they think of lasagna,
Is provolone.
provolone.
Very good.
Everybody likes provolone cheese. And so I've got 2 packages of provolone cheese. You see what I mean about a lot of cheese? It's going to be a big lasagna. And then a 5-pound bag of mozzarella. We got a 5-pound bag of mozzarella cheese that we're going to put in there. Now, the last cheese we're going to add, start bringing the plates over. The last cheese we're going to add is the ricotta. I usually use the ricotta made with whole milk. This cheese is going to be, this is the one, let's see, the mozzarellas are solid cheeses. The Parmesans are the hard cheeses. The ricotta cheese is almost like cottage cheese. It's like a cheese, spreadable cheese, okay? It's really, really tiny curds. It's not like cottage cheese at all. But normally when people make lasagnas, and they use cottage cheese or ricotta cheese, I normally don't like the way they kind of take big spoonsful and glop it, because it winds up in big glops throughout the lasagna. So what we do is we take a very long time. I think Hannah and I figured we're going to need about 40 lasagna noodles to make our lasagna the way we want. So what we do is we take our lasagna noodles, go ahead and pull out a couple lasagna noodles for each of us, and we take the ricotta cheese, and we're going to put on the bottom of the noodles. You can sort of see it. It's almost like a milk paste. Yeah, it does look like yogurt. It doesn't taste. It's got more pungent flavor. That's enough. That's enough. Now, what we're going to do, because of the ripples on the top of the lasagna noodles, I like to look and see which side looks like is bottom. What we're going to do is we're going to spread the ricotta cheese on the bottoms of the lasagna noodles, so that it puts about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch layer on the bottom of each piece of lasagna. Go ahead. It doesn't. They both have the same, but you just try to see which one looks best. And we're going to spread it all the way across. And if you keep your knife on top of the ridges, it leaves the cheese in the middle. So you put like this. You put right across the top. And then, ooh, and we make a mess. That's why I have my towel, because I always make my mess. And so every time we finish one, these plates are made so we can fit 4 slices. We can fit 4 slices per. Yeah, you should have practiced before we started, huh? Look.
Oh, I got it earlier.
It's real easy. There you go. See.
Once you do
Once you get the hang, and every once in a while it comes up. But look, you know how much you want. Look, you can add as much as you want. See? Yeah. You can add as much as you want, and just don't take a whole bunch. No, it smells delicious. You don't want to say the food you're cooking smells weird to people you're trying to like your recipe, right? So
No,
we'll
I'm
put-
not saying the food that we're making for it. I'm saying the stuff that
Oh, just all the ingredients. Just all the ingredients smell weird.
we use.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah. But
different.
together they
Together they're delicious. Okay, so Hannah and I are going to spend the next 2 hours painting ricotta cheese on the bottom of all 40 of these lasagna noodles, and then we are going to put them aside. We're going to wrap them up, put them in the refrigerator, and then we're going to start making the meat. I will, once I start cooking the meat, I'll come back and we'll start the second video with us adding the seasoning and the tomato sauce to the meat to make the meat sauce for our delicious and magical lasagna. Right, Hannah?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
The reason why it takes 2 hours is because we have a big family.
Because we have a big family. I know, you don't want to drop it. So you're no Julia Childs. Only Julia Childs can get away with dropping a turkey on the floor and then being able to pick it up and still use it. She was a chef who had her first TV show. Okay, we'll see you guys when we get all this done. Say bye.
Bye.